Okay, so we've covered roots, and now we're talking about shoots, and this is basically stems and leaves. So once again, here is the anatomy of a plant, and shoots are basically anything that are above ground. So that's going to include fruit as well, fruits and seeds, etc. So stems are positioned to help leaves capture sunlight. Some stems are actually photosynthetic, and that's one of the advantages that Scotch broom has as an invasive plant, because it is deciduous, but it will continue to photosynthesize over the winter when it doesn't have leaves. This is where your vascular tissue is. The xylem, which carries water, phloem that carries sugars. This is also where your reproductive organs are. So here is your leaf blade. If you look on the right there, your apical bud, that's your terminal bud. Your leaf consists of the blade and the petiole. And then the nodes are where the leaves come out, and the axillary buds are found. The internode is what you find between those nodes. And obviously the stem is the entire thing. That's our shoot system. So here's a close-up, that photo here of the nodes, and the internodes are between the sets of leaves. So the shoots may be vegetative, leaf-bearing, or reproductive, flower-bearing. The node is the area of the stem where a leaf is born. Internodes are the stem area between the nodes. Buds are where stem elongation take place. This is also where embryonic tissue of leaves and stems are found, not the flower bud. And then terminal buds are located at the tip of stems or branches, and the axillary buds give rise to branches. Nodes are the points where stem accessories are attached: leaves, buds, flowers. Dormant buds and leaf scars can be found on deciduous plants. Here are some common leaf arrangements. We've got alternate, that's probably the most common, opposite, and whorled. Plant habits. Herbs are plants that have annual above ground parts. Those are herbaceous. Vines have weak stems that are supported by another plant or structure. A shrub is woody, has usually more than one trunk, and a tree is woody and has one trunk. However, there are multi-stem trees. A lot of times it has to do with height. Okay, here's a modified stem. These are stolons on strawberries. The nodes are found on these stems, and they will actually not only set leaves, but they will also set roots there. And here's a bulb. In this particular case, it's an onion. The stem is at the base there. The roots are down below, and what you think of are the sides of the onions are actually leaves. Okay, these are potatoes. Potatoes are tubers. And sometimes you'll hear tuberous roots. So that sweet potato that I talked about in the other presentation, those are tuberous roots. Tubers are stems. So the eyes that you see on a potato are actually nodes. That's how you differentiate between roots and stems. Here are rhizomes. And so these little lines going across these rhizomes, those are actually the nodes. And just so you know, a lot of plants have bud scales to protect their dormant buds through the winter. And here's a couple of different buds that you see. The fuller looking buds tend to be the flower buds, and the other buds are winter buds without flowers. And sometimes you can really see this on rhododendrons. You can tell the difference between a flower bud and a leaf bud. The leaf buds are going to be much more narrow, a little more elongated, and the flower buds are going to be really fat. Okay, dormant buds include latent lateral buds or inactive buds at the nodes, and adventitious buds are found in unexpected areas like roots and trunk, and these include our water sprouts and our suckers. Lenticels are areas where gas exchange happens in the openings in the cork area of a woody stem. And this particular stem is a cherry stem, and this is one of the very distinct features of cherry trees. So when you take Spring ID, if you see this, you know you've got cherries. Okay, here's a woody twig, and you can see leaf scars are how you indicate the age on a twig. So the top portion is this year's growth, and below that you've got last year's growth. You've got these scars you can see, and then below that is 3-year-old wood. So that's how you can tell how old a plant is by the stems, or how old the stem is, excuse me. Okay, a leaf is a modified stem, and it consists of a blade and a petiole, and that's in simple leaves. We also have compound leaves, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The purpose of this leaf is to intercept light and use CO2 to be used in photosynthesis. The leaf petiole is a stem that holds the leaf blade out from a node in a position to intercept light. It connects the leaf blade to the plant's vascular system, and it has an axillary bud at its junction with the node. A leaf is the thin, flat portion of a leaf containing the organs of photosynthesis. And just here's some different leaf parts. The one on the left is a simple leaf. This particular plant has pinnate venation. That means there's one main vein that runs the length of the leaf, and then there's side veins that come off of that. And there's your axillary bud, so you know that that is a leaf. Then on the right, we've got a compound leaf. And so you've got a terminal leaflet, and each one of those leaf-like structures are leaflets. The petiole is found underneath that, and there's an axillary bud there. So if you were going to look closely at these leaflets, if they had axillary buds, then they would be actual leaves, but they don't. That's how you tell the difference between a compound leaf and a simple leaf. Okay, again, here is a compound leaf. The petiole is at the base there. There's the bud. There's no bud found at the base of the leaflet. Here are simple leaves. And here are, the one on the left is pinnately veined. So as I mentioned, there's one main vein that runs the length of the plant, the leaf, and there are veins that come off of that. Palmately veined have all of the veins radiating from the base. And parallel veins are what you're going to find if you're looking at monocots. Okay, so then when you're looking at compound leaves, you don't just have compound leaves. We have palmately compound, and those of you who took Spring ID, that's horse chestnut. So they're definitely individual leaflets, but they all come from one particular point. And with pinnately compound, they all come off, the leaflets come off of a main stem. And bipinnately compound means that you've got, here's the main stem running, and then those are individual compound leaves coming off of that main stem, but that whole leaf, that whole structure is one leaf, but it's bipinnately compound. And here are just some margins you might see on leaves. So entire just means that there are no teeth. Dentate are, sound like teeth, right? Double dentate, those are going to be more serrated. There's lobed, as in the case of oak, and then here's serrated, as in a sweet chestnut. Okay, here are just a lot of different shapes and arrangements. Again, here's some more margins. And then, as I mentioned, some of these leaves are modified, and these are bracts. So this is a pink flowering dogwood. So the pink is actually a bract. The flowers are in the middle there. Those are those inconspicuous looking things. The bracts are just modified leaves. Other modified leaves can be spines, and so this helps with reducing water loss, but it also may deter predators. And then you also can have these modified leaves that are reproductive leaves. They're tiny but complete little plantlets growing along the margins of this plant.